Carahsoft Technology would like to welcome you to our Google Cloud Virtual Roundtable Intelligent Virtual Agents. At this time, I would like to introduce our speakers for today. John Cecala, Google Public Sector, and Brandon Ragle, Chief of Enterprise Applications at Illinois Department of Innovation and Technology. John, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Molly, and Brandon, thank you for joining us here today. This is the agenda that we'll walk through this workshop, and we just covered introductions. We're going to talk about government and customer challenges and what's possible with intelligent virtual agents. We're going to give you a demonstration of some live sites. We're going to hear from Brandon Ragle at the state of Illinois and how they're using intelligent virtual agent technology across the state. And we're going to talk about how this assistive technology can be helpful to government agencies and ways to get started, and then we'll take some questions and answers. So we hope you enjoyed the content that's here today. And as we get started, we'll take a look at what matters and what government challenges exist today. So we're all in public sector as kind of our as our primary jobs, and what we see that many public sector agencies are dealing with are these types of things that happen in the news. Overload of customer service requests and backlogs, and we all experienced this through the pandemic with unemployment spikes, with needs for services, rental assistance, you name it. And these types of surges put a lot of pressure on government customer service agencies, and it's been challenging over the last few years. And what the government agencies have typically been challenged by, not only of these backlogs, but typically they're challenged by customer service agents or outsourced customer service centers that have high turnover, longer training time. And then during the year, you see seasonal spikes. Like this time of year with tax time, there's going to be a surge of people calling with tax questions. And constituents that we service, they expect to be serviced on demand in real time, just like when they interact with their bank or their airline, or their shopping site. So studies have shown that residents expect these types of services when they deal with the government. We as consumers expect to be serviced on demand when we need to be serviced and let's be frank, we all hate waiting. So in government, studies have shown that 73% of public sector leaders are under pressure to accomplish more with smaller budgets. So what can be helpful to solve these challenges? And artificial intelligence technology is something that can be helpful to contact centers and government agencies in a variety of ways. In fact, we've seen it started to be adopted through the pandemic over the last few years, and studies have shown that by next year, about 40% of the contact center interactions will be through fully automated artificial intelligence agents. And these deliver measurable benefits. And what we're seeing in the industry is with the proliferation of machine learning and artificial intelligence, these technologies can be implemented as assistive technologies to help give leverage to your staff and service constituents and residents faster. In the past, you've had to make trade-offs between giving great customer support and operational efficiency. In the past, it used to be a one-to-one type model. If I have more calls, I need to hire more customer service agents. And until now you can kind of switch that paradigm around. This is where Google Contact Center AI comes in with what we call intelligent virtual agents. So the notion of intelligent virtual agents are, what if customers came to you with an issue and then walked away feeling really valued and connected to your service? They had an experience that was human-like and they felt like they were taken care of as efficiently as possible. So intelligent virtual agents can help deliver that experience. They're like a force multiplier for your staff. So virtual agents speak multiple languages. They work 24/7, 365. They can be the front door for all your contacts. So imagine all of the people contacting you. Virtual agents can handle tens of thousands of customer interactions simultaneously. And they can act as a front door for all of your contact centers or your websites. So they can determine intent, they can help with self-service capabilities, and they can even gather information up from the customer so that when they transfer to an agent, or if you want to have an agent pick up the interaction after they're interacting with the virtual agent, that context can be passed to the agent. So what we've seen at one customer is through the pandemic, 17 million interactions that were handled by virtual agents, which was equivalent to 3 years of callbacks that were eliminated at the current staffing levels they had. So when we talk about a force multiplier, handling 17 million transactions in a period of time is a phenomenal amount of transactions that really help their customer service agents be freed up to work on more complex tasks with customers. So where can they help in government? Well, anywhere that you have a website or a phone number to service customers. And if you look at typical agencies that we see across the United States and around the world, these are the type of agencies that typically have intelligent virtual agent capabilities or technologies to act as assistants to their staff. So we've all experienced the need to register for a driver's license or make an appointment, or to send in documents and get a response or get a status update. So these types of areas are where virtual agents can be super helpful. So let's talk about what's possible and specifically what the state of Illinois is doing, and then we'll look at some demonstrations in the underlying technology. I'd like to introduce us to my colleague at the state of Illinois, Brandon Ragle. Brandon is the Chief of Enterprise Applications at Illinois Department of Innovation and Technology. Brandon and I have been working together over the past couple of years with virtual agents and artificial intelligence. And Brandon, if I can ask you to share some of your story with us, that'd be great.
Hey, yeah, thanks, John. It's a pleasure being here and having an opportunity to talk with you. You kind of laid it out pretty well, right? As far as use cases that, not only did we see here in Illinois, but I'm sure that every other entity or government or even private is dealing with, but especially through the pandemic. And some things that we did in Illinois was really focused on, talking about giving that self-servicing, that 24/7, 365, ability to be able to interact with our constituents, right? To try to push out to the edges as far as we could any conversations we could do by using like a machine learning AI through virtual agents and bots. We really started out kind of small, I'd say, right, but very quick. We had our first bot up pretty fast. The objective there was, hey, can we even just do FAQs now, even though that's really not getting into the nits and gritty of where we see value, honestly, in the long run with virtual agents. It's definitely something that we started with. And we saw, as you kind of noted before, we saw lots of interactions through there. Another thing that we really focused on was, understanding our demographics, seeing if we needed to have any type of language translations on our sites. That's something the state has lacked behind a little bit in that area. So we knew that on our websites, we wanted to address that through some existing efforts. And so we obviously wanted to try to address that with our virtual agents as well too. And we're able to do that. And I think you'll probably see a little bit about that here in a few minutes. I would say that one of the things that was very helpful for us is when we started leveraging AI, trying to keep it simple, was we've struggled, I think, in the past on, chatbots of the world in the day, as it's come around. We don't have the right staff trained to be able to quickly deploy agents or virtual agents at time chatbots. I think by looking and investing more into a platform per se, it definitely helped us out to be able to implement, quicker, faster agents right on our sites. It gave us a better visibility on our data, our analytics, on kind of testing how we're doing, and ensuring that we're actually bringing value to what we're trying to bring. I know on the bottom here in that slide, as you can read there's an example of we had virtual agents had about 3.2 million inquiries in the first 2 weeks. Obviously, that was the first couple of weeks as we got it up at the early pandemic age, and it's smoothed out a bit on there, but it's still very active. Today, I think we have 7 public-facing virtual agents on our sites, and I ran some numbers this morning. I looked at our dashboards this morning to kind of see where they were. And it looked like out of those, just this last week alone, you know, on those 7, we've had 29,000 conversations, right, with on those across those. You know, so of that 29,000 in a week. So then I thought, well, I'm gonna look at a month, right, just to see what we've done with the holidays and everything. And we're over 100,000, 100,000 actual, not one time putting something in. It's an actual end-to-end conversation that we're having with constituents just across the 7 sites. And some of those sites, you know, don't get a lot of traffic. Some get a lot, right? So there's a balance in there. So you know, as you kind of listed, the governor's office, coronavirus, we do have on our Do It site, Department of Insurance standing up, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, IEMA, Revenue, and IDES, right? IDES was probably the biggest, which is employment security, which is our biggest, heaviest trafficked, I'd say, from interactions with virtual agents. I think that if I was to go take away anything and say, if you could take anything away from what we've done at the state, and if we did a lessons learned or, you know, any advisement that we might provide, it's kind of what we capped earlier, right? Understanding the use case of trying to make it self-servicing, but start simple, right? It's okay to start simple, get out fast, but don't just leave it and let it die, right? Starting simple, let it grow, let it mature, let it get to the point where you're ensuring that the virtual agent is actually it's actually providing knowledge and being helpful to the point where you can eventually grow into, is it performing some actions, right? Is this by a question, am I able to send somewhere or query something to bring it back, to bring that value? And the way you can understand where, or which we're trying to do anyways, to better understand where we really need to mature in those areas is really analytics, which the power of the platform has actually really provided us very nicely. We could see, you know, the bad stuff that's being said, right? There are some things on there that people don't like, and they say, you know, they're frustrated, but there's a lot of good things, right? Not necessarily directed towards the agent, but we're getting that sentiment, that value of understanding what, you know, the constituents are feeling and what they're saying. We can see through analytics that, you know, we're missing a mark because this one thing is being asked a lot and we're not really providing a valid response to that. Well, we need to focus on that. Let's see where we can provide that value. So making sure we have the business units engaged, the end users engaged, the people who really know the policy and the business side of what we're trying to help with, it's essential, right? If you get kind of the mindset, I would say, of, you know, early days of, let's say, quote, chatbots and air quotes here, was, you know, throw some FAQs out and leave it and let it die. That's really not where you want to be. That's really not where you're going to get value. You may get value for a hot second, but it's not going to continue to mature, right? So we're at state, we're continually trying to look at our analytics, look at our dashboards, try to make good decisions on where do we go next, where do we invest next, to try to just continue to provide really that overall end game of giving that self-service to the end user, right? Giving that self-service to the person come to that site so they can walk away and say, hey, I got my answer. And they may not even realize they didn't even talk to a real person, right? They may not even realize they didn't interact with a real person. And the more that we can do that, the less stress our internal teams are going to have and trying to deal with that, all while providing value on the outside. So anyway, just a quick journey of what we went through the state, you know, real fast, standing them up, something simple, trying to continually grow and mature, you know, add different functionalities, different capabilities, ensuring that the intents that we have out there are really matured and measured to provide the results that are being asked, right, from the constituents, and continually monitoring, improving in that space as that grows. That is essential. Without that, I think that we would fall flat on our face, no matter what technology you use. So it's been very, very helpful on the platform we have today to be able to react and adjust and to continue that maturation process for us. So anyway, that's really the high level kind of what we went through. Obviously we'll have questions in there, but I'd be glad to take anything if we get more specifics. But it's been a good journey for the state. It's been a lot of value for the folks in the state of Illinois. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Brandon. I think one of the things that I've been most impressed about with your staff is how quickly they've been able to adopt and deploy this technology. You know, it's quite interesting. I appreciate that every week there's an analysis of the data what happens, how are our virtual agents performing, and like you said, the good and the bad, because we will see changes over time of the nature of what people ask based on economic conditions or programs and those types of things. And one of the things I was really most impressed about was how your team had put together these dashboards to be able to say, hey, it looks like we're missing the mark here, and they can quickly fire off and create new intents and immediately add intelligence to that virtual agents, literally in minutes, to have those questions start to be able to be addressed. So that enables them to turn on a dime, which is really impressive.
Yeah, I would have to say that that's arguably, without that visibility, the success won't be there, right? You have to be able to have that so you can turn on a dime and continue that. It's been extremely helpful and supportive of the overall mission for us.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll have some questions at the end, Brendan.
Right,
you bet. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide here, and let's just talk about, you heard about the state of Illinois and some of the things the state of Illinois is doing. Let's talk a little bit about where this may help and what's possible. What we see across the industry is that there's three kind of key areas where we see these virtual agents being helpful. Certainly, customer service and help desk, internal help desk and external customer service, helping people get service through automated agents. We also see these virtual agents helping increase accessibility with folks that English may not be their primary language. And so I know, every state has limited English proficiency requirements. I know the state of Illinois, for example, there are 6 different languages that are priorities. And in order to be able to service agents, they have to provide service in multiple languages. So the virtual agents have the ability to speak over 20 different languages. And we'll show you some examples of that. So that helps increase diversity, equity, and inclusion. And also automating routine tasks. So we talked a little bit about knowledge delivery, like FAQs. Certainly that's, the kind of core primary value proposition of virtual agents, but they also can take that to the next level. And we'll show you some examples of this in the demonstration, where the common tasks that are kind of rote, PIN reset, password reset, what's the status of my account, I need to change an address, I'd like to change an email update, what have you. Those are the things that could be handled by virtual agents as well. And then, as we talked about, surfacing data and insights. What are people asking? How are we doing? What seems to be the topic, of the month, the day, of the hour, so that you can get insights, so policymakers at the agencies can understand what residents and constituents are interested in and help them with policy decisions and responsiveness. Brandon mentioned something which I wanted to bring up, which is, chatbot versus intelligent virtual agent. And not all technology is created equal. Chatbots have been around a long time, and they are challenging in many cases because of the technology that they're in and that they're built in. And it's been challenging for people to use chatbots to have to program every possible scenario that somebody might ask and create these big if-then-else trees and logic trees. That's a thing of the past with Google Intelligent Virtual Agents, because it's powered by AI technology, and particularly Dialogflow is the tool behind it, which we'll tell you about. So it's purpose-built for interactions in a natural language way with people. So it empowers these rich natural conversations because the AI infers what someone's talking about. So, in this example here, somebody may be interacting, and this could be on the phone, or it could be through a virtual agent web chat. In this case here, the person's interested in ordering pizza with standard crust and olives. So people may say that in different ways. What Dialogflow does is it understands the intent of what you're asking, and it figures out what the intent is of what you're asking and matches that to a process, a workflow. So it understands and interacts and converses naturally, and it means you can provide exceptional level of service with increasing operational efficiencies. And these are the key areas that we see virtual agents being helpful with. Imagine, intaking of documents. So in order to apply for some type of service, I may have to give you my information, share my proof of residency, my utility bills, or what have you. Virtual agents can intake documents and help the process along through an automated fashion. We see a lot now of appointment scheduling, particularly with the pandemic. A lot of offices are closed and people are taking appointments. So it can help with appointment scheduling, reaching out to the back end and seeing available appointment dates, and then presenting that back to the constituent and confirming an appointment. We talked about PIN, passwords, etc. And here's the thing that it's really interesting is that they're also helpful for your existing staff. Many times in call centers, there's a high turnover. And many times there's policies that change pretty frequently. So if you've ever been in a call center, a lot of times you'll see call center agents with the 3-ring binder on their desk that has the book of policies and answers to be at their fingertips. What virtual agents can do for the employee is sit there as a virtual coach right on their desktop, so that as they're conversing with a customer, they can be typing in or talking to the virtual agent and have that virtual agent provide them answers to give to the person while they're on the phone. So the whole value proposition with contact center AI and virtual agents is containing more calls. You know, it costs on average, industry averages it's about $5 to $6 per contact when a human being handles a customer. And a virtual agent's cost of ownership to handle a customer is a fraction of a penny. And conversely, it can also, handle multiple interactions simultaneously. So the notion is, can I handle the surge or the volume of contacts while giving great service and freeing up my human being agents to work on the more complex stuff that need white glove treatment? And that's the value of contact center AI. So we talked about some of the common use cases. Here's a few more. And let's show you some demonstrations of how these work and what they look like. Now, because we're on a conference, I'm not going to use the phone virtual agents. I'll just use the web ones. But please know that everything I'm doing on the web is also available through voice. So let's take a look at some of these in action. I'm going to open up the state of Illinois. This is the office of our governor in Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. And you can imagine governors get a lot of inquiries from people. And there's a virtual agent right here on the governor's website to help. So I'm going to open up this virtual agent and notice that it says this is Illinois' virtual agent. And I have 2 different languages. So if I prefer Spanish, that's my primary language, I can click on Espanol and I can start to converse with the virtual agent in Spanish. I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker myself. I'm going to go back to English for this. What you're also seeing here are something called suggestion chips. And what these are kind of the most common things that the governor's office is dealing with. And these suggestion chips are kind of shortcuts for people to quickly get to the information that they like to see. So obviously a hot topic these days is the vaccine. And certainly the governor's office is getting a lot of questions about the vaccine. So we'll click on vaccine. And what it'll do is it'll start to tell you some information regarding Illinois on the vaccine. So it tells me information about the vaccine. And maybe I want to know, where can I get a vaccine? That seems to be a common question as well. I can go to the vaccine site locator, which is a suggestion chip. Notice what it does. So it takes me now to a completely different website, which is the State of Illinois Coronavirus Response Site. And it takes me right to the page on this website where I can locate a vaccine. So now I can go ahead here and find my vaccine. And by the way, this website also has a virtual agent on it, which is related to the topics that are available on this website. So that was a quick jump over from the governor's website to get a vaccine location. I can go back here and I can even ask this and type in natural language something that I'd like to say. So I can do a totally different topic. It's tax season. Help me with payroll taxes. And so it understands that I'm talking about payroll taxes, and it's telling me that 1099 and other payroll related taxes can be found on the Illinois Department of Revenue website. And I have some helpful information if I need a 1099-G, which is related to unemployment, how I can go there. So you know what? I better find out from the Department of Revenue's website about payroll taxes. So I'm going to click on that, and now I'm jumping over to the Illinois Department of Revenue, and this is their website at the Illinois Department of Revenue. They also have a virtual agent. Now I could go here and I could search this website for payroll taxes, and there's a lot of information. There's a lot of FAQs. There's a tax answer center. I could choose to hunt and peck for that information, but how about I just ask them about payroll taxes, the virtual agent. And here I have information about payroll taxes delivered to me. So I asked it a question, giving me the answer from their policy on payroll taxes. And I have a link to publication 130, which tells me this is what's required to withhold taxes in Illinois. So I can print this, I can do what I need to do, and I'm pretty happy. So imagine just how long this might have taken if I had to take if I was trying to place a phone call, or if I was trying to look for this on myself, and this is really something that is a helpful self-service mechanism. I'll say thank you. It's great. Is there anything I can help you with? Nope, I'm good. Okay, have a good day. So very impressive, Brandon. Your team has done a wonderful job on these sites. Let me take you to just another example, and I'll spend a little less time on these, but this is Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Commission. And this is a virtual agent that's from a commission. It's a smaller agency. They don't have a big staff of people to answer questions. So there's a virtual agent gives them leverage. So I can go in here and say, how do I get a license? And I have information about how do I get a license. I can click on more information about licensing. It's bringing me to their exact page regarding dispensing licensing, and I can go ahead and answer that question. What medical conditions qualify? There it tells me about the qualifications, and can I help you with anything else? So you get the idea. Here's just another one real quick. This is Virginia, Vaccinate Virginia. This is their state of Virginia's vaccination website. Here's their virtual agent. Again, they have it in English and Spanish as well. And I can go in here. I can ask the Virginia something. I can say hi to get started. It says, gives me some helpful information. I can go in here and say, do I need a booster with J&J? And it infers that I'm talking about J&J booster. It's giving me the answer here, and I can go ahead and read here, and it talks about, the booster dose is at least 5 months after completion of that. So this is their information. I can say, yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. Do you have any more questions? Nope, I'm good. Thank you for your time. Call us if you have any questions. So that was a really interesting example. I want to show you one from a 311 non-emergency information line at the city of San Jose. So many cities have this 311 non-emergency line. This is their webpage where they can do things like reporting graffiti or handling abandoned vehicles. So they have a virtual agent. Their interface looks a little bit different, and you can see right here it says, how may I help you? And their suggestions look this way. They have a big Vietnamese population in San Jose, and their virtual agent is in Vietnamese, English, and Spanish, as you can see right here. So I can go on here and say, when is my garbage day? And you can see as I'm typing, it's inferring, it's looking and it's filtering the answers right here to tell me, oh, you must be talking about garbage. Here's a popular link for your pickup day. So I'm going to go in here and say my pickup day. It's asking me what's your address. I'll just give them an address that's here in San Jose. And it comes back and says, here's what I found for your address. It's Monday, Thursday. Recycling is this. Your yard is on Monday. Here's all the information. So was this helpful? Yep. And I'll say, thank you. I don't have to say thank you, but I could. So that is the, just another look and feel type example. And then I'll just give you a last one right here. This is somebody we all know, Domino's Pizza. So I don't know if anybody's tried this ever, but Domino's has a virtual agent that's built with Google technology that's really super custom interface called Order with Dom. So I go to Domino's right here, and this is the same technology, just with a different interface on here. So I can, here's the way that they manifested suggestion chips, new order, reorder track. I can type the message, I want to order pizza. All right, so then it starts saying you want to order pizza. What do you want to do? You want to place a new order, you want an easy order, a recent order, and I'll go in here and say I want a new order. And I'll do a carryout. And I can continue as a guest, or if I have a profile. So it says I need your phone number. Type my phone number. Oh, I've typed it wrong. It says you didn't have a valid phone number, so I made a typo. And I can say, what's your street address? And I'll say 801 Burlington Avenue. And what's your zip code? I'm in Illinois, 60515. Okay, looks like I have 2 stores close to you. Which one would you like to do? I think this one, I'll select this store. Now, because of the time of day right now, I can't go any further because it tells me my store's closed. But you get the general idea. And I can go through here and I can order my pizza. I can put my toppings. It'll tell me my bill. It'll confirm my order, and I can check out. So that's an example of a pretty sophisticated virtual agent with a lot of visual graphics. So we've seen some demonstration, of different ways that these virtual agents could be used and manifested. And I just want to reiterate, everything I did on the web can also be done on the phone. And if you don't have a phone contact center, the technology can provide you a Google Voice phone number access, so you can have a voice conversation directly with the virtual agent without having sophisticated contact center technology. This all works because of Google's AI technology. And what Google spends a lot of time doing is researching how the brain works. And neural networks are kind of the fundamental way that the brain learns. And today you can actually train a machine to do something faster than you can program it. And Google's experience in our DeepMind operation for artificial intelligence has manifested really assistive artificial intelligence technology in the common things that you use from Google today, like Google Search, Google Assistant, YouTube. For those of you who use Gmail, if you've noticed over the last few years, as you're typing an email, it'll suggest to you how to finish the sentence. That's assistive technology based on artificial intelligence. So with Google's conversational AI, you have the best of the best in terms of unparalleled accuracy with speech recognition, text recognition, speech to text, to interact with people with a natural conversation manner with a human-like voice as well. And there's the components of it are these. So at the base level is this conversational core. And this is what's the underlying technology that's powering some of the things that I showed you earlier. So the conversational core enables you to understand speech to text to speech, text to text, etc. It also does sentiment analysis, and you can score the sentiment of the interaction if the person is angry, irate, based on the nature of questions they're asking, so that based on that sentiment score in real time, it can provide answers that are germane to the type of sentiment. And so it's a unique feature of this conversational core. And once that conversational core is set up, then you can manifest it in a virtual agent. And the virtual agent is some of the things I've demonstrated for you. And you can quickly train these phrases. So I know, in Illinois, for example, when they look at the data and they say, hey, we're getting a lot of questions that the virtual agent isn't yet trained to answer that we didn't expect, they can go into the interface and they can provide training phrases. And we can see what the people were asking. We can use those as training phrases, and we can determine what the answer is and put the answer in the system or point to the right location. And then within a matter of minutes, you can train the virtual agent to understand how to do new things. You put in a few sample training phrases, you press the button, and the AutoML technology trains the agent to understand that intent. And once it's trained, it understands how to answer the question no matter how people ask it. So in this case here, somebody said, how do I file? they got this answer. In this case here, somebody said, can I file online? They got the same answer because the intent knew that they were talking about filing germane to this topic. Agent Assist is a feature that's available as well as an option to assist the call center agents. And, agents have high turnover and they may not be experts, on everything that people ask. So Virtual Agent Assist is a technology that helps your agents while they're on the phone with people. So as the people are talking, it provides continuous support to that agent on the desktop. It'll infer what the conversation's saying, and it'll say, oh, it sounds like this person's talking about a tax return, and here are answers regarding tax return or eligibility requirements, etc. So it's real-time assistance, and what that does is that helps your agents give consistent answers, and it shortens training time. And lastly, this is something that Brandon spends a lot of time with internally, at the state of Illinois, are dashboards. And so Insights empowers your operation to understand how are these virtual agents performing, and are they really adding value? I remember when we first started working together in Illinois, the director of one of the agencies said, how do I know this is really helping people? And it was a really good question, because how would you know if it's helping people? Well, everything that the virtual agents do, every utterance, every text that was captured is all stored in a back-end underlying virtual data warehouse called BigQuery. And every utterance is tracked there. So you have this ability then to create dashboards to say, how are we doing? And so this is an example, and you can do it by time, by topic, by agency, by language, by omni-channel, whether these were voice or phone, etc. So this data allows you to have these dashboards to show people what your satisfaction rate is. How many calls are we avoiding? By having the virtual agents show that they have a success rate of, in this case, example here, 87%. So those are the components. And to get it implemented, it's fairly simple. We have partners across the industry that are trained on this, that are competent with Google technology, that can sit down and listen to you and gather your information, scope requirements, and help you with deployment. It's very flexible, and it's designed to be implemented easily. And I want to make sure that everybody understands this if you take one thing away. This is assistive technology. It's not a replacement for people. Just like I wear glasses to help me see better, it's fairly easy for me to go get a pair of glasses and a prescription as assistive technology for my eyesight. I don't need to have an operation to replace my eyes. That would be very disruptive to me. But this AI technology is assistive in that it's designed to work with your existing systems as a complementary assistive technology. And our partners and our folks at Google are expert in helping you understand how it may help. And the other thing I want to just point out is that your data is yours. Google does not use your data. We do not touch your data. You own your data. Nothing ever goes to Google. Everything is private under our public sector terms and conditions, and you can be assured that everything is secure for you. So with that, I'd like to open it up for any questions, turn it back over to Molly, our moderator, and we're here to help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John and Brandon. It looks like we have a question here asking how many languages are supported by CCAI?
Yeah, it's always changing. I think it's about 50 right now. They continue to add languages.
And then can the virtual agent potentially replace the function of a touch tone based IVR?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, it's not designed to replace an IVR. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with IVR term, it's interactive voice response. That's when you typically call a place and it says, hi, please listen carefully. Our menu options have changed. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for that. That's very good technology. It's been around for 20 plus years. It's very good, and it's very complex to administer. A lot of people don't have them. But it's not designed to replace it, but it could, depending on the circumstances. But here's what I would submit to that question is that instead of forcing people into the IVR to say, hi, thanks for calling, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, people put the virtual agent in front of the IVR, and it'll say, hi, what can I help you with? Thanks for calling. What can I help you with? And then you can converse with the virtual agent, just like I showed you in the demonstration, and it could ostensibly answer the question. And if it can't, then what it can do is say, I'm not able to answer those questions, or I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about. Let me put you into the menu tree to get you further help. And then it can transfer the call from the virtual agent into the IVR. So then you can go down and do the natural pressing of buttons. What's the benefit of that approach? Benefit of that approach is it triages. Because when you go into the IVR, it means you're going to go talk to a human. And so you're just going to get to the right human. And so if the virtual agent could deflect that call from going to a human by answering the question up front, you're doing two things at once. You're giving the customer immediate help, and you're reducing the workload on your human beings. And so that's how I would recommend that, if you have an IVR, you might look at virtual agents to layer it on. But in many cases, depending on the use case, it could replace the IVR.
Can a virtual agent transfer a caller to a live agent?
Yes, it can. And, on that note, we have an ecosystem of telephony partners that already use this technology and offer it to their customers as well. So companies like Cisco, NICE, InContact, Avaya, Five9, many people on this call probably have one of those vendors for telephony call center technology. And all of those companies have this technology as part of their product offering as well. And so because they embed it and they have connectors to virtual agents with their telephony technology, they've integrated them into be able to transfer agents to live, transfer virtual interactions to live agents.
Can I import an FAQ and use this as the virtual agent?
Yeah, that's a good question. As a matter of fact, that's Brandon will remember this. This is how we got started in Illinois with Department of Employment Security. When the onset of the pandemic hit, it was overloaded with unemployment. And at night, there was no help at all because there was no customer service at night on the phone line. And so you had this massive inflow of people that needed help with the ability to handle it. So what we did to get started with them was there was about 200 or so FAQs on the Department of Employment Security's website. And to get started quickly and easily, we just work with them to harvest those FAQs and then convert that data into a virtual agent question answer set, if you will. And so that process is, as Brandon was talking about earlier, it took about 2 weeks to bring that live. 2 weeks to enable those virtual agents, do some QA, dev and QA testing, and then go live in 2 weeks. And in the first 2 weeks after that, they handled 3.2 million inquiries, all based on FAQs. And that's a great way to get started. The other pieces of virtual agents, which is helpful, is that people have all these policies and procedures in documents, PDF documents, Word documents, Google documents. There's a knowledge store of stuff. And virtual agents have something called a knowledge connector. And what the knowledge connector can do is it can point to those documents as a source of truth to help use those documents to drive answers that they give based on the questions being asked. Good question.
How long does it take to implement a virtual agent?
So you could implement a virtual agent in a day. Really, it's the value of the virtual agent is making sure that it's valuable to the person using it. And so where the magic happens is to understand, if you want to get started quickly, the first easiest place to get started is every website, every every website has FAQs, right? And so the easiest place to get started is just take those FAQs and make them available through the virtual agent. And then look at layering on more complex things after that. So to actually get things set up and going, you can have those virtual agents set up in, literally a matter of weeks. But I caution that because everybody says, it's super easy to do this. It's the quality that's important, of the content. And, you want to make sure that the experiences are meaningful and rich. So I would, our partners are expert in walking our customers through a path of putting those live. And lastly, I'll just say is that once it's live, and Brandon mentioned this earlier, it's an iterative process because information gets stale and old and irrelevant. We saw this with unemployment where pandemic unemployment assistance was a big topic and then it ended, so the answers had to change. It's no longer available versus the answers when we first started was here's how you apply. And so you train, you keep a virtual agent fresh and trained the same way you keep your employees fresh and trained. Brandon, any parting words of wisdom?
No, I think you touched on it, and the questions about FAQs and discussion. That's from our perspective, being newer to the game. That was actually what helped us, right? Is to take that very simple, small approach. It took us longer to probably scrape the FAQs and pull them together than anything, because sometimes they're sporadic, right, throughout your sites. And
yeah,
starting with something simple as small, but also making sure you keep in mind what problem are you trying to solve. Are you really helping the people? And then watching your analytics, right? Watching your data, watch your analytics continually growing. You just kind of continually mature, because you're right. It's just like training your employees who are coming in. It's just one employee handling a lot of workload, essentially, at that point in time. So it's just highly from our point of view, that's the recipe for success.
Terrific. Well, Brandon, I personally thank you very much. I appreciate the collaboration we have together, and thank you for taking time out of your super busy day to join us today.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Molly, I'll turn it over to you if people would like more information.
Yeah, thank you both. I want to thank all of our participants as well as John and Brandon for being with us today. We hope that our virtual roundtable has been helpful for you and your organization. If you have any further questions or would like to request more information, please feel free to contact Joseph Nagesh at Carasoft. His contact information is displayed on your screen, so please don't hesitate to call or email him. Thank you all and have a great day.